continue on with the WardiTV Christmas Day Games, continuing in the round of 8. In the bottom left-hand corner, we've got the red Protoss player Zest from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. And the top right, our blue Terran player from Team Liquid is Clem. Just a quick reiteration just in case you're joining us, or if you're watching this on YouTube and it's a fresh new video. This is a set of games which we had played a little bit before Christmas, and I casted a little bit before Christmas, but to broadcast, the idea being to broadcast the entire thing on Christmas Day. This was kind of meant to be our YouTube-only tournament this year, but it obviously just kind of made sense to kind of combine it into something that worked on Twitch, especially because the YouTube has not been doing so hot. But we want to take this event as, you know, a chance to just say, hey, please do check out the YouTube. Obviously, if you're already on the YouTube, then you know the usual things. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notifications, like the video, and comment. It helps us out massively. If you're watching this on Twitch, the best thing you can do, and the only thing I'm pretty much going to ask you guys to do today to support the stream, is to do something that's free, which is hop on over to the YouTube, youtube.com/WardiTV, or you can !YT in the chat if you want the link posted for you by WardiBot. Head on over there, drop us a sub, maybe, you know, watch a video later, or tomorrow, or next week. It just helps us out, helps us to keep that YouTube moving along nicely, and we really do appreciate it. So please do check that out. Probably not the only thing I'm going to necessarily ask you guys to do or remind you guys of today, but it's definitely got to be the focus. As like I said, I kind of took the YouTube marketing budget that I set aside and used it on this, and now it's on Twitch as well, so it's like, uh-oh. Maybe the hardcore YouTube fans are going to come hunt me down. Alright, all serious, it's time to talk about these games. And map number 1, 2000 atmosphere is pretty much as standard as you can get to start the series off, at the very least. As we do see the SCV Scout, we'll see a Nexus, and we'll move up into the main base. As a Cybercore is going to finish, and that's kind of a fun wall-off as well, right? This big wall-off across this side, make sure that these jumper pathways are not going to be allowed. And that just means you can kind of deny the Reaper nice and easily. So big wall-offs, you don't always see this anymore in TvP because it's just so risky. You know, this is kind of a free couple of pylons if Clem gets position here and you can't fight him off. So it's a little bit risky. You don't see it all the time, like I say, but it's something that is worth doing if you want to try and hide the scouting to some extent. Now, it's kind of weird, though, because what scouting? It's not really, I guess, hiding the scouting, because the scouting can be had anyway. If a Reaper hops up to here or so, they can still get the vision on us, you know, on a starport, as there's no Reaper. It is just going to be Marines, and now one Marine actually into Hellions, so then probably Hellions into mines. We don't actually have that much gas, so maybe a second barracks behind this from Clem. We'll see very soon where exactly he takes it. But yeah, aim also probably is so you can get the Stargate down as soon as possible. The faster that Stargate comes down, the sooner the Oracle is out, the sooner he can start to harass, and then of course he can play, you know, with this later Adept, and he doesn't have to worry about it as much. Now, because there was no Reaper here, this is perfect for Zest anyway. We'll see how it pans out. There is the starport from Clem, so it is going to be a straight-up Hellion drop. Starport proxied over to the far left-hand side of the map. I was kind of wondering about that, because I was looking back at home, and I didn't look in the production tab, and I didn't look on the minimap. But it makes sense, obviously, the SCV ran over that, but I was like, man, there's like not as much gas as usual. I'm like, that's why I was like, maybe a second Rax? Because I was wondering where the hell the gas was, because he didn't have it to build the starport. But the starport was already being built over here, and I just wasn't looking in the right place at the right time to figure that out for myself, so. That said, we do have Phoenix production continuing through, and Adept on the way up as well, and just going to be seeing our medevac popping out shortly as the Oracle flies up into the main base, and there's going to be 0 anti-air here. However, that does mean that there's going to be no Oracle at home to help defend against the Hellion drop. So, yes, you're going to get some damage done, but you're probably going to get more damage done as Clem because the Oracle is here killing your workers than you would have gotten done usually. Now, this Phoenix is here and can lift up some of the Hellions. Gets a good scout, so the Adepts move into position. This is going to be bad for Clem because now Zest doesn't even really need the Oracle to help him out when it comes to workers, and that's beautiful. One lift is just going to take away the potential of course, the one-shot, which means the battery gets the job done. Very nicely done, very nicely handled. 9 SCVs dead, roasted and toasted by the Oracle. And really, what, 1 probe died? Yeah, 1 probe died. Fantastic start of the game from Zest. This is disastrous for Clem. And I think a lot of this probably is just the fact as well that Zest got off to a bit of a greedier start, but also then got such a good read on what was going on as well. And, yeah, he puts himself into a fantastic position as that Twilight Council's coming on through. The Nexus is building on the 3rd base as well, so we are getting that started as Marines and a Cyclone pick their way through the rocks and down here on the low ground to take those out of the equation. And we do now have just Adepts and Phoenix still making their way around the top side. And we will look to see Zest try and make something of a play here. Already got Adept shading forward into the natural expansion. Well, SCV's pulled to the side. We insta-kill the Fresh Mule. Yeah, this is kind of annoying. The Cyclone locks onto an Adept. I don't think the Phoenix cared enough to lift the Cyclone to cancel it, so they'll actually come through and start getting rid of an Marine and then more CVs. I mean, the Phoenix took a lot of damage, and we lost one that I don't think was necessary. But yes, he got a couple of extra kills, but I think it's always worthwhile to keep the Phoenix alive instead, so don't fully agree on that. Clem does have a good army lead here, 28, 30 army supply to 12. If he's got a chance in this game, it's got to be in the next couple of minutes, because he can't look to play a macro game, right? He's lost so many SCVs first, just lost 7 more now. His macro game is completely out of the question. So you look at what Zest has, 4 Phoenix, an Adept, and a Sentry. Oh, and he just warped in 1 Zealot. Well, that's not exactly ideal. He only has 1 Warp Gate currently on the map. Clem might actually win the game with this counterattack right here. Like, there is not a lot for Zest right now. Batteries are not ready on this base either, so that's going to be an issue. I mean, now you're going to lose this. I mean, if these 5 gates can finish, you can get a big Zealot warping off, but I mean, even then, it's going to be Zealots that don't even have charge yet. Continue to try and fight what we can. Ignoring the probes to get rid of the units. Target fires down the Phoenix right away. Goes for the other one. Good pickoffs. Now, the Adept and the Zealot, etc. were doing some good damage throughout this, but Clem kills 6 probes. He's completely reset the army again. Obviously, we should be able to get enough Zealots up to eventually push this back, but how much do we lose before then? He's actually warped in Stalkers initially because charge is still not done, so trying to get some micro potential on this map. First Marine going down, we go back and forth with the battery. First Siege Tank shot hits a Stalker as well, right in the face. Cyclone coming back through, locking on. Nexus still taking some hits, and these Zealots, well, they're going to start gathering up at the top of the ramp and just going to be seeing Clem. Well, here we go. Zealot's going to come charging down. The Cyclone gets taken down immediately. Phoenix going to lift up the Siege Tank. Gets dropped back down, but it will not do much else. Zest will clean up the attack, but look at the game now. 38 SCVs to 45 probes. The third base of Zest has been nullified for the last minute or two. Last minute, really. Everything just starts to look so good for Clem, or at least much better for Clem. Had he not been so far behind, he would be winning the game big time. Because he was very far behind, like I say, it looks much better for him rather than really, really good. But really good compared to where he was at, that's for sure. As we see Templar Archives, the next step here from Zest. He just wants to step this up into the next stage, which is going to be with the Templar Archives, add in High Templar. You can go Archons with these Zealots, of course, but a lot of the time if you go Templar Archives at this sort of time, you do look towards moving in towards the Storm upgrade. Right? So we'll see if that becomes a factor here. The units sit on the left-hand side, simulators dropping down. Just seeing our Phoenix still coming through. Stim and Combat Shield and +1 attack. All of this just continuing at the moment. As our Zealots and Stalkers continue their way to the top right. Looks like they might push in toward the natural in a moment or two. Depot is going to complete, and we do see a couple of medevacs on the way in here from Clem as our Phoenix come in. It's a mule that already goes down. Job of it as the robo facility from Zest will start up on the natural, so getting that robotics facility up and running. A couple of these medevacs coming through, Stim, Combat Shield, +1 attack, all of this just continuing, as you will see the group of Phoenix here from Zest continuing to make just some loop arounds, trying to see what openings are available, what opportunities are still around on the map, etc. Just trying to make the most of this here as we have Zest going to have an SCV pull against him. So Clem was obviously only still on 2 bases. He went all the way up to 5 barracks. He wants to win this game right here and now. Zealots are going to counterattack. Now, they might shut down some of these reinforcements, but in fact, they're fortunate that they're going to catch this tank. That is a really nice catch. I was going to say, in general, Clem's not going to care about the Zealot attack. Yeah, okay, it'll shut down reinforcements, but to Clem, that's a hell of a lot of Zealots that are not part of the fight. And so I think Clem will look at this and say, well, you know what? That's absolutely fine to me. That's going to be seeing our SCVs moving forward, our Marines as well. Tanks will siege up from afar. And you have our Zealots coming in from the upper right-hand side. Phoenix come in, they lift up the tanks right away. I mean, that's a good start to the fight from Zest. The Zealot flank as well, and wow, it's not even close. Clem just leaves the game instantly. He knows this fight was not what he was looking for here in this game. And Zest will take off to a 1-0 lead in our best of 5. So already off to a very strong start. So GG, and we're going to be seeing Zest maybe looking to best Clem today. Like I say, good start for it. Let's have a look to see what's going on. Is in the bottom left-hand corner. Our Red Protoss player, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, and off to a 1-0 lead is Zest. Up against the blue Terran in the top right side of the map, we've got ourselves Team Liquid's Clem. Map 2 then, what do we think is going to happen? I was going to start off by proxying a little bit and just hiding off over to the side here with this initial barracks, so just getting that place down to begin with. Gonna go double gas. Now this is obviously a Zest scout. It's gonna be a question for him as to whether this is a real proxy, whether the Reaper really is right next to his base, or if it is just a barracks outside of the base. And it's something which the Terrans are doing repeatedly now. It's become extremely common. It was a thing for a while, but now it's becoming like every other game basically. Like 50% of games start like this, it feels like, in TvP. And a lot of the time it is just that fake proxy. Sometimes that sets you up in the future for the real proxy, perhaps. As the probe taking a few nibbles, just going to be seeing the SCV coming across. We'll slam a depot down on the high ground of this ramp. Probe is going to be through here to nibble that SCV, put a bit more damage out. Cybercore's on the way in from Zest, a Zealot as well on the corner. And again, the Nexus just coming up on the natural at the moment to get this underway. So, overall, I mean, you invest in a Zealot. I never think this is a bad idea. A lot of people will try and skip it because they just want those extra 100 minerals. They want their faster... they just want an extra 100 minerals, basically. But I really do think it's worthwhile because the times it is a real proxy and the bunker goes up, I mean, then you have to put down a battery, right? Okay, in this case, maybe the Zealot isn't super useful, but he's still going to try and run it across the map, and maybe it can cause some chaos or so. Clem obviously does end up going factory. Before he expands, of course, which is part of going for this kind of proxy on the map. You take double gas, etc. So you go factory before you expand. So you are very safe against a lot of, super early game pressure that can come around. Reaper continues to get pushed away by the Stalker. The Zealot turns as well, hits that Reaper, and just brings that down to lower HP. And now the barracks is going to start building a reactor. So reactor already coming through as we drop a gateway at the front. There's extra couple of gates going through. The Widow Mine is going to be burrowing, and you can just see the Zealot and the Stalker just hanging out here. And obviously these Reapers want to try and bait them forward. A little Reaper grenade as well as we try and get some damage done to the Stalker, of course. It's going to be the big threat to Reapers, so if you can get some damage on it, regen, go again. But another Stalker showing up. It's kind of weird because you kind of got your... Oh, he's going to give up a probe for the Widow Mine. He will go for the kill, but he doesn't get far enough forward. Now he gives up the Zealots, but now you've got two Stalkers on the natural expansion. Well, Marines are going to spawn from the low ground as well. You kind of need the Widow Mines here. Can two Marines and two Reapers do some magic against these Stalkers? Clem pulls the Reapers down, ready for the Marines to spawn. He's going to lose one Marine right away. Ooh, a little misclick on the Stalker right there. So it doesn't go quite as planned. Continue to chase down. Reaper turns around once more. And at the end of this, these two Stalkers continue to head down to the bottom left-hand side. So away they go. Nice defense from Clem, who will take down a cleaning bot as he sits on his ramp. Yeah, nicely handled, because in the end, he really did save everything, right? He lost one SCV, but he killed the probe, and he killed the Zealot, and he got the Stalkers pushed back. Now he's got the two Reapers that can take to the map and try and get something done as well, as a hallucination tries to scout, wants to figure out what's next. Starboard actually moves off of the tech lab. Makes space for this barracks to jump onto it, so we can just start up our stim. Which means we're not going to be seeing a Raven or anything in this game. The Widow Mine drop now is, by the way, on the bottom side of the map. If these units are positioned here to watch this Widow Mine drop, the problem is these Reapers can maybe run in. They're going to have to come through the front, however, so maybe we can bait some units to the side to try and get this medevac drop going, but there's just too many units still left there, right? There's a few Stalkers just still off to the side and so on. It definitely feels like it's a little bit too tough to really make much of that. Now, Prism about to finish up. Our Robo-Bait coming through. We see that Zest obviously wants to think about just going straight to Colossi this game. Third base, not super quick. Kind of interesting as well to just play a 3-gate Robo rather than, you know, a Twilight Council or anything. It doesn't feel like Zest was necessarily forced into a Robo or anything. And I always feel as though when we go for like a Robo early, it just feels rough because I'm always thinking, well, you don't have your Blink Stalkers to help you out or to protect you or anything along those lines. I always feel like that goes a little bit. I always feel like that kind of leaves me a little bit concerned for the Protoss, who doesn't have the support I feel like they need. Gravitic Drive is coming up on the Prism, so we are going to see Prism Speed, which means a Colossus drop. That's the one thing I was kind of thinking about. I was like, well, I guess if it's a Colossus drop, that's your way of taking some map control. But this build always feels like very high risk and, you know, I guess decent reward. I wouldn't say high reward. I mean, you can get a lot done with it, but I feel like the Terran has to mess up a lot for that. Clem's pushing, though, and you gotta respect that as well right now. Here is Zest. You're gonna have an Immortal at home. Your Prism probably has to recall here to bring the Colossus back as well. You don't have a lot. I mean, there's no Blink, there's no Charge, you don't have any of the tech. It's just basic units. And this Colossus drop might have a wild time, but it's gonna have a wild time in a situation where, quite frankly, you need to be back home and defending. 20 army supply difference already in play. Reapers find their way into the natural, by the way, and they're going to get a bunch of probes. So he's making up for the SCVs being lost on the other side. That battery, I get the feeling, is not going to last very long. Gets targeted down instantly. There's the Colossus coming back home, but okay, we do force Clem to turn around a little bit, back to the upper side a little bit now. 10 probes going down as our gateway, taking a little bit more damage, is going to be falling. Well, Prism still has the Colossus inside of it as we move on through. I mean, that Colossus felt like it could have been targeted there. Widowmine actually gets a shot off. The Immortal will die. And we will just lift up and back it up as these medevacs fly away around the left-hand side. And now they're going to go diving in toward a main base. Well, Prism's trying to Colossus drop once more, and we're still having Stalkers responding to this that don't have Blink. I feel like Clem's almost respecting them as though they do have Blink. Zest comes all the way across the map and is going to fly straight into this natural. See what he can do. Oh, losing probes to the Widowmines over here. So he's just down 12 workers. Then comes that Prism as he will look for some SCVs. There's double Viking here, though. Recalls on cooldown, right? So that's going to be a dead Prism. That means it's a dead Colossus. It goes down. That's his only splash damage. Apparently that's enough to get Zest to GG out of here. And to be fair, he is down on probes and he's down on army. Some might argue it's a faster GG, and I guess some could argue that you could probably stay in this game, but yeah, that's unfortunately just going to be a little bit too much here from Liquid's Clem, and he is going to take this to a 1-1 scoreline. Yeah, maybe was even given, like I said, too much respect over here, but playing the safer game, just wanted to be sure of himself, not make any mistakes. GG's, and with that, it is going to be tied up in this best of 5. What we can handle is a bit more StarCraft 2. In the bottom right-hand side, we've got the red Protoss player. A couple of aggressive games so far, just overall between the two of them. It's Zest in the bottom right, which means that in the top left is going to be Clem in the top left from Team Liquid, of course. As we get into game number 3. Our SCV will start to head across down to the bottom side. Now we will see what will happen. So moving across and just going to be seeing a refinery is on the way up. Obviously Barracks is at home this time around, so we're not going to be seeing that kind of little bit of a proxy or a fake proxy or anything. Yeah, obviously first game Clem really does just die to the Oracle while his Hellion drop gets denied, so it was kind of aggressive on both sides then, really. And then the second time around, Clem is able to deal with the few units initially, and really just kind of, I mean, honestly, the Colossus drop, I just don't like that build as Zest, and I think more than anything, I've been trying to think about it during the break, why I don't really like it. It can be fun, and it can work. It can also blow up in your face, and I think that is my biggest issue. that it really can just go horribly, horribly wrong. Because sometimes you just don't then have the units you need. It feels like it's forever until you get a blink or a charge or anything like that on the way. Yeah, that's, I don't know. I just feel like it's an inconsistent build, and it's never great. As this engineering bay cancels, this SCV was almost looking like you wanted to try and come and build another one, but Nexus will go down. Clem just confirms that with the SCV, which is obviously good to know. Would like to pull that back to make sure the probe doesn't get a random kill or so, as the factory sets up in the main. So it is going to be, of the gas into racks, it is going to be a factory before we expand. So again, Clem will be very safe in case Zest wants to put on any sort of pressure or aggression. None of that will really be allowed to come on through here, as the SCV continues back to the top left-hand corner. Just going to be seeing the Adept still one on the way through here from Zest. That's his first unit of the game, and we'll see how that does going across the map and maybe trying to get something done. The Stargate is placed into the back of the main, as the Adept is going to be patrolling forward. A couple of Marines and a Cyclone. Just continuing to come on out here, as we do have ourselves CC even in the main, so we're really being very careful as Clem at first. Now he's going to move his Marines forward on the map, which is something you can get away with here. You can hold a high ground and maybe try and catch an Adept or so. I don't think that's super scary. I think, you know, there's an expansion down. So yeah, I mean, just going to be here. Obviously, he has time and chance to pull back to the high ground of the main base if he feels like he needs to as well. Because we do already go into a Cyclone that pops out, and it will start to rally forward with these Marines. Are we actually going to go across the map right now? If we go across the map, it is a Phoenix that's been made initially. So you're going to have Adepts and a Phoenix against Marines and a Cyclone. A battery on the natural will not be done right from the start of this, so going to be an interesting moment. These Adepts obviously have one-shot potential at first, but they're patrolling kind of, you know, in a bit of a mixed place. So there's not a guarantee to get any one-shots right away. There goes our first Adept. There goes number 2. The Phoenix can come in and maybe lift the Cyclone to remove some DPS from this equation, but high ground vision is going to be not available for Clem, so he doesn't get another Adept kill. Maybe now he wants to back it up. Problem with Phoenix is it's obviously great right now when there's only 1 or 2. The more Phoenix that come out, the more you're just going to be losing units for free as they get lifted up, taken out of the equation. Marines will die instantly. If you take the Cyclone out, then obviously, or you lift the Cyclone up, then that's a lot of DPS lost, and the Marine count isn't super high to target down Phoenix, so I do like that Clem was starting to back away and be a bit more cautious. I think overall, the fact that Clem has fallen all the way back to the natural is absolutely a good sign, and absolutely the correct call for this game. Otherwise, I think you could have been running into a bit of trouble as our Phoenix continue up the left, and I'm sure they will try and make some plays on some SCVs here, but Marines are well positioned in the natural. I suppose the Cyclones, yep, multiple Cyclones in the main base to protect from any Phoenix trying to move through over there. And now these Phoenix come back around and still just moving around in the center and just thinking about how exactly they want to keep this going. Obviously, they just want to find openings. They got a Mule, they got an SCV. Now they will go for a Marine as well, just one that was on its own. And not a bad first start, first attempt into a mineral line for these Phoenix. The more of that they get done, the better it's going to be for Zest as this game continues. No surprise to see the charge upgrade on the Twilight when you've got Phoenix. That is, you know, an upgrade that goes hand in hand with the Phoenix play. You need something that can be very strong and powerful and potent and stand up for itself on the ground, and that is absolutely charge instead of blink, so definitely a factor as we just have a push through the center of the map right now. Cyclones, Marines, all heading down to the south. A third Nexus of Zest sets up on the right side. Let's grab a probe. We cancel this battery, and you're just going to come through Nexus. Going to go after the, going to go down on this right side, I think. I don't think there's units here to cancel this army. So Nexus will just straight up fall. I mean, the charge upgrade is chrono boosting along, but was not done in time. The Phoenix immediately say, well, scrap this, we're going to go counterattack. Losing your third base again, that shut down from pretty high HP as well. It'd been down for a while. or had been setting up for a while, had been placed for a while, hadn't finished building, of course, but it's not like it had just been started and then was cancelled straight away. I have a breakout here, as we're just going to be seeing Zest running forwards. Clem will steer his targets down the first Phoenix immediately there, as he gets some Cyclone lock-ons. Only gets one of the 3 Zealots he was locked onto, the other 2 out of range, just in time. As the Phoenix coming back around, lifting up a couple of these Marines. We're going to stim again. Cyclones continue to fight this. Extra Marines showing up. Lock-ons coming through once more, and again, just chasing the Zealots out of here at the moment. The Adept getting chased back as well. Just going to get picked off, so a lot of this going down. The Zealots, Phoenix, and a Sentry all settle down into the center. Just going to be seeing a Nexus out over on the right-hand side. And again, a Dark Shrine of Zest building in the main base. That's going to be his next step. So going into DTs, we'll see how successful they can turn out to be. Getting rid of a few SCVs already, as the Phoenix get a few liftoffs. Cyclone still locking on and keeping these Phoenix pushed back. Some of them are getting to low HP, so maybe easier targets further down the line. If Clan pushes right now, I kind of like it because, well, Zest hasn't benefited from a 3rd base. He's invested into a Dark Shrine that's not done anything yet because it's not finished. I don't hate it if Clan pushes now, and he'll actually have a 3rd CC soon as well, and he's already got a turret up in the main, so he already has some decent coverage against Dark Templar for later as well. I feel like he just stimmed everything, maybe feeling the Phoenix were coming back in, or just a misclick. The reality is the Phoenix are going to go up into the main, so that stim achieved absolutely nothing, really. Zero, nothing at all. As Archon Zealot will peel out away to the right-hand side. Phoenix coming back from the top, and just going to be seeing Zealots and Archons looking at this. A few Marines already being picked away. Riddermine fires onto a few Zealots to begin with. Of course, just counting back, and Zealots starting to fall down here as the Phoenix coming through as well. Try and see if they can get rid of more of these medevacts, and to be fair, they're getting a few of them. Nice Widowmine shots. Obviously, no warpins from a Prism or anything, because this is a robo-less game at the moment, so as you push back through, it's scary because Zest's reinforcements take so long to arrive. And look at the Phoenix, they're all dead. Now the Archons are gone, so the reinforcement Zealots are just running into an army that can kite them forever. And Zest just loses out on everything. Let's just take a look back at that. There was some serious splash damage that went down to aid Clem in the fight here that won this for him, because they come in, he's getting chased, the Phoenix show up, and the first Widowmine goes off, it's decent. We pull away here as Clem. It's just these Phoenix, they disappeared out of nowhere, I felt like. He targets one there. They're all just very low, so they're very easy targets. And did they actually fly into the splash here as well? I think that's a target fire on a Widowmine, right? To hit the Phoenix. Oh, it's a Cyclone lock on, I'm seeing. Just a combination of things, and suddenly you've lost all your Phoenix. The Zealots are gone, and like I say, no reinforcements in the fight. Really does mean that you're just in a lot of trouble there as Zest. And hence Clem is able to just continue through, chase those Archons down, and actually just win the game off the back of this, as Zest was committed to this fight. Only 47 probes on the map at this point in time against the 53 STVs, so yeah, he kind of needed to do something with the army, and he just didn't do anything with the army, unfortunately. Which means that we have, if Clem does come through and win this, a pretty good chance of maybe having another Clem versus Dark matchup, and that would be pretty cool. Although the last few times they played, it's not exactly been super pretty for Clem. Although that's true. Okay, from the point that it kind of comes down to the point of when this match was played versus the point of which what I've actually seen lately. So you know what? I'm not going to talk about it too much because it's going to get too confusing, and it might not even happen because this man in the bottom right, the red Protoss player Zest, might just be able to bring it back and win this series out anyway. Bottom left is the blue Terran player Clem. As we get this up and ready to rumble for map number 4. Let's see what goes down. Let's have an up rope crossing over to the left-hand side to start us out here. Clem? As though obviously he's going to have a Reaper and a Orbital Command on the way before he expands, but and if we do actually just see, I think we will just see a straight up expansion right away this time compared to, factory before we expand. So Clem changing it up game by game, keeping it different, making it difficult for Zest to, kind of blindly counter it or anything, or to do kind of certain openings that are maybe a little bit preferred. He's just expanding himself. But once again, walling off against the Reaper, so he really is eager to keep the Reaper out of the question here, right? He really doesn't want Clem to be able to hop in with the Reaper and to pick up information. Well, Clem just went for Marine first anyway, so he's going to go Marine Reactor. And once more, it seems as though he is not going to bother with the Reaper. And so that Reaper wall-off is not going to mean too much, apart from later down the line. It might be something that Clem can make a pick-off of, right? And that's the risk and the investment of putting that on the side. And if you don't get anything out of that, then it would be kind of sad if then Clem obviously is able to then kill your gateway, kill your cybercore. In fact, that would kind of suck. The Twilight is halfway done. So that's going to be Zest's opening here. He's been playing a very Stargate-heavy set of games, right? Oh, we're going to Dark Shrine. That's a very early pylon across the map. I was going to say he's been playing a very kind of Stargate-heavy set of games. When he didn't play Stargate, he played that Robe and the Colossus. Blink or Dark Shrine. I think we're just going to Dark Shrine right here behind the gold. Yep. And then I assume the idea is that this pylon is in position so you can warp in DTs on the other side of the gold. Alright, well, I kind of like it. It's a bit of a random place to check, and it's not somewhere you scout right away, unless maybe you're thinking there's a pylon behind the gold to warp in on the other side, right? So that would be the one reason that Clem might check that. It's very committed from Zest. Obviously, he's even going to proxy a gateway, so his warp in is going to come in really as quickly as possible. If this Hellion sees this probe from a weird angle, Clem might just go and scout. Because you see that probe come in from the top side. Clem didn't respond on the Hellion to fight the probe. He is going to try and run into the main, which can provide a scout as well. Obviously, the question is, you look in, you see, well, it's a Twilight and Blink, but where's the, to me, I'm asking, where's the gateways? Or why have you not got extra gateways, right? It definitely feels a little bit dodgy. Unless you're just going to one gate Blink into a third base and then add gateways on, which would be very greedy. Clem's going to get a reconfirmation, perhaps, of gateway timing, etc., as he goes across the map with some Widow Mines. However, we're already getting extremely close to that Dark Shrine being available, and Zest being able to warp in some DTs to try and make a little bit of a difference here. So, eyes out for that, as our Widow Mines will move across, and we do have a Stalker and an Adept just there to ping away at the medevac as it moves in. Let's see what damage Clem can do, as the probes are going to know Zest. We've done this so many times before, and it never works. He gives up on it, but we'll kill one mine. The other one gets away. Shot still available. DT showing up. Clem noticed it from the shimmers, so he's actually going to have a scan right here, and he will get rid of one DT. The other one is going to get out of scan range, but at least he got the raise on the depots. He doesn't have to deal with the main base being under attack, and he's honestly not far from a Raven. So he'll actually just pull his SCVs. He doesn't have a scan right now, but Raven's about to pop out, so this is going to be a cleanup on the DT in a moment. The second SCV goes down. The Raven's still nearby. The bunker will get the kill. Oh, and now he gets 7 probes as well off the Widow Mine shot. Was that just in the natural? Widow Mine died like the moment after, so 7 probes fall for 2 SCVs. When you look at units lost, you obviously compare the workers' losses, but you also compare what it cost Clem to do this. 2 Widow Mines are a lot cheaper than 2 Dark Templar. So not only did he, did it cost Clem less to do this, it also just got more damage done. I mean, you can argue that, Clem also had to use a scan. I just don't know if it makes up for the 7 probes being lost here, as Clem 5 workers away from catching Zest up. Zest does have a third base. He can keep on cranking out units. The only problem I'll have now, I suppose, is that, yes, Blink is done, but because your DT investment didn't do much, you're still missing your next stage of tech already. Zest doesn't have a ton of gas to be working with here because he warped in yet another DT, and he starts up charge, that's fine. But it feels like he's in a very weird place. He doesn't have the gateway unit or the gateway count to make like just a spam of gateway units with charge and blink. He doesn't have any tech units on the way. This would be a nice catch as we'll blink, and that medevac is out of reach, gonna stay alive. Good turnaround there from Clem, as we do see DT on the natural will get more SCVs. I do think a turret would obviously be worthwhile, especially when you've got a bunker here. You could just leave a few Marines in it, and that will just stop any DT running through. As the Stalkers are going to make their way to the front, while Tank can definitely turn around and help fight against this. As the bunker already continue to take a few shots, is going to go down. So the bunker will fall. That's going to be seeing the Adept coming in. Actually, friendly fire onto the Marines as the Adept shaded through there. Guess that was pretty nice, but nothing too game-changing or game-ending. Marines pressing forward. Stalkers in a bit of trouble as we chase them away, and just going to see Clem still in hot pursuit. Now down through the bottom side of the map. He's actually going to lose a Widow Mine, as the Stalkers do lay claim to that. Got another probe in the slow zone and just continuing to move across through the bottom side of the map. We've got harassment into the base as the Raven comes in. He'll drop multiple auto turrets. Actually has another one here to drop, and we'll try and fight the Stalkers off. We'll actually kill one. He's actually going to kill two. Wow, and he's still going to get probes off the second auto turret. And he's fighting at the front as Clem pushes his way into position. Clem is getting wins on all fronts here. And this might be yet another sub 10 minute game at this rate, because quite frankly, Zest is in trouble. He's lost Stalkers, he's lost probes, his army supply is in grey, and Clem has all the upgrades in the world, plus one finishing to complement Stim, Combat, and Concussive Shells. His little Bioforce is deadly at the moment. Clem will expand behind this push on the map, having good control, just knows that he can take an expansion and not worry about it being cancelled or pressured, so yeah, puts it in position. Here we go. Zealot's going to start running forward, but again, +1 attack, there's no upgrade. Wouldn't mind shot is good. And now it's just a group of Stalkers to try and make something happen. Probes are being shot down. We'll see the bio units moving up, down, or down the bottom side. We're just going to see a couple of Zealots getting picked off. Stalkers are taking damage. Zealots are still trying to charge through here. Just going to see the couple probes that were pulled in going down as well. We don't finish off the siege tank as one Stalker dies the moment before it blinks out of range. Well, Clem just keeping up this pressure, keeping Zest at a point where he's just warping in Zealot Stalker. If Zest can survive, he's got a gold base coming online. So that can act as his fourth, and that might be very nice. He does get rid of the tank, but is there too much bio? Even just chasing down Stalkers at the moment, knowing he's guaranteed to get the Zealots after. Trying to make the most and clearing out Stalkers. Zest's army supply is not looking pretty. 18 versus the 58. Clem runs up the natural ramp, continuing to fight. The blink micro is as good as it can be from Zest, but now he's out of blinks, and he's just out of units and hope. GG, and Clem is going to take the 3-1 victory. Clem will advance through to the semi-finals, joining Bjorn, Rogue, and obviously then himself as player number 3 with one match left to play in the quarters. Clem gets the 3-1 victory over Zest and will be advancing on through. GG's aggressive games. Like I say, it's less than 10 minutes on every single one, but kind of, every single one of them still different enough and fun enough to, have a good time with.